once we had covered the West, so to speak, we started going west. And we got to Towson, Santa Fe, and that was O'Keeffe. And we did her first retrospective in 1966, which was before the big show at the Whitney. And she was very much present here. One of the paintings in the collection had lots of black paint, and she had taken it out. It belonged to Chicago, the Art Institute, and she had taken it out of its frame, which had glass on it in those days. She had called her conservator in New York and asked her what to do about it. And Mrs. Keck had told her that the painting, she needed a piece of black silk. So she said to me, "Child, do you have a black silk petticoat at home?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Would you mind going to get it?" So I went and got it, and she used it to rub the surface of the painting. And they put the frame and the glass back on it. So all the problems were solved. To back up a little bit, the year before that, she invited me to come out to Abiquiu, where her house was, and for a visit over the weekend. So I came up with instructions to get to her house. And so this lady with a big chow dog came out, and she said, "Are you lost?" And I said, "No, I'm looking for Miss O'Keeffe." And she said, "I'm Miss O'Keeffe, just follow me." So we went in, and it was a remarkable weekend. I shall always treasure it, remember it down to the last detail, because in the evenings she would sit against that white adobe wall and with a shawl over her shoulders and reminisce about her friends and her paintings and all of the exciting years in Towson, Santa Fe. I spotted this picture. She was pulling out a rack, and I just went, It's the only thing I can say. And I said, "Oh, I think that's so beautiful." Well, time went on. So before I got ready to leave, I spent the whole weekend, this was Monday morning, and I said, "Miss O'Keeffe, I would so like to buy that painting of the white birches." "Well, I won't sell it to you because you're not ready for it," she says. And I said, "Well, I'm just as ready as I can be." And she said, "Well, all in good time. And besides, you have to promise me that you will give it to a museum." So I said, "Well, that's easy to do. I have one readily waiting for it, but all in good time." I just looked at it and fell in love with it, which is what you really have to do. I'd wake up nights thinking about it, and I knew exactly where I was going to hang it if I got it. Finally, after, I don't know how many years, it would have been, first saw it in '65, so it was in the mid-'70s, I think. It took me 10 years almost to talk her out of it. And I'd see her in New York, and we'd have a visit and had correspondence back and forth. And so finally I said, "Miss O'Keeffe, please sell me the white birches." And she said, "Oh, all right." Well, it's more than a favorite. It's a sense of a friend. Well, it represents our friendship too. I don't know how you rate it, but she certainly is the prima donna of the art world as far as women are concerned. She's a painter. She's an artist. She's a great artist.